Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to this week's Midweek 180. Now, it's been 3 weeks since my last Midweek 180 because I was either in Japan or I had content to share with you that I made while I was in Japan. But guess what? I'm still poorly. So before I was going to Japan, in fact, the last time I filmed a Midweek 180, I had a terrible cold, which actually turned into tonsillitis. So I had some antibiotics, managed to shake that before I went to Japan. Didn't feel great while I was in Japan. Came back from Japan, started to feel a bit better. Thought I got over it at the weekend, and then it's just come back with a vengeance. And actually, I'm filming this on Wednesday, and I should actually be in Spain with Skoda right now, but there was just no way I was feeling up to going and travelling on an aeroplane and travelling to Spain. So I really do need to shake this cold because it's absolutely doing my head in. Anyway, so apologies for the blocked up nose and just generally sounding a bit rubbish. But plenty to talk about this week. Let's get the housekeeping out the way first of all. Leader of the pack at the last Midweek 180 was Michael Kember. Well done, mate. Joined in the Magnificent 7 by Paul Mead, Rod Matheson, Jake Warren, Leanne Jackson, Kevin DG7 and Anthony Finch. So whoever puts the first comment this week, you'll be my leader of the pack next week, and the first 7 comments will be in my Magnificent 7. Where are you and what you're doing? Well, that was Craig Brandt, who was in Auckland, New Zealand. I reckon that's about as far away from me as you can get. But wherever you are right now and whatever you're doing, put in the comments below and I'll give you a shout out next week. Last time's question was about whether you had a jack in the car. Many of you did. A few of you had bought jacks at scrap dealers or online. Some of you didn't have a jack at all, but it's quite an interesting state of affairs nowadays when you have a puncture in a car. You're sitting there going, I'm not able to jack my car up. And I would love to know how many, especially maybe more young drivers, have never changed a wheel before ever. One of the first things my dad taught me to do when I bought a car was how to change a wheel. Question this week, I just wanted to know how many of you use the native sat-nav in a car, or do you pair your phone and use something like Android Auto or Apple CarPlay? So Formula E, the last race was the Tokyo race that I was at. I hope you've watched my coverage by now. I think some of you messaged out saying I might have not changed your mind necessarily, but opened up the sport a little bit, made you think it was a little bit more worth the watch. An amazing opportunity to be at the first ever Japanese E-Prix, to be with the home team, to see Oliver Rowland put it on pole position in qualifying and then end up P2. Really interesting. I actually flew home on the same plane as Ollie Rowland and I had a chat with him when we got to Heathrow about the race. And he was just in the front of the race, the whole race, but because of the aerodynamic benefit the cars behind had, he was just using more energy than they were, and he had no choice but to pull over and let the guy behind him through in the hope that he would then have some aerodynamic benefit and get him back towards the end of the race, which unfortunately he just wasn't able to do. Really interesting insight. Formula One was then the next weekend. It was so gutting to be in Japan, and then there was a Formula One race the next week, and a few of the guys on the trip with Nissan were Formula One journalists, and they were then staying in Japan to go and watch the race from Suzuka. I would have loved to have done that. Oh my days. And if you ignore the Red Bulls at the front, it was actually a really, really interesting race. Unfortunately, the Red Bull car this year just looks so amazing. It's difficult to see anyone catching it at the moment, but hey, fingers crossed. You never know. Now, I wanted to talk to you. So as many of you know, I'm sure, I am a brand ambassador for Michelin UK. And as part of that, I have managed to secure a deal for you. So I will put a link in the description below and in a pinned comment. So if you need to buy tyres for your car and you use my link to do that, buy Michelin's obviously, you can save up to £100 on a set of tyres. It depends on the size and how many tyres you buy. But if you bought, I think it's a pair of, if you bought 4 19-inch wheels or bigger, you're going to save yourself £100. So it's nice to be able to share that offer to you. So as I said, link below and in the pinned comment. Other news, Mitamiya is back. Now, I never did a video of this on YouTube. I did do some stuff on social media. I got this for Christmas a couple of years ago. It is a Tamiya Super Hotshot. It was the radio control car I really wanted when I was a kid. I had a Tamiya Grasshopper when I was a kid. We just couldn't quite afford the Hotshot, and then the Super Hotshot came out after that. So Tracy got me this for Christmas a couple of years ago, and I built it, and it just never really worked properly. So luckily, my mate Paul, who I did Cycle Sunday with, is a massive radio-controlled car guy. He now races every weekend radio-controlled cars, and he said, look, give it to me, and I'll sort it out for you. Now, it took a while because Paul lives in Edinburgh, and I live on the south coast of England, but I finally got it back, and I've been playing with it. I even put a reel up on the channel at the weekend. It is now running perfectly. Turns out I didn't put a couple of bearings in the gearbox and a couple of other minor things like that, you know. Basically, I had some bits left over that were meant to be on the car, and I didn't realise they were important. But yeah, so would you like me to do some more radio control content? I've got the option to work with Mark from the Drone Safe store, because they now sell Traxxas and Tamiya kits. So the loads of comments were basically when I put that reel up about the fact that many of you had one of those when you were a kid. It brought back memories. I've loved playing with it, and I'll be probably driving it later on today, maybe, if I'm feeling better. Members meeting this coming weekend at Goodwood. Any of you going to members meeting? I will be there on Saturday for sure. Really looking forward to the Can-Am cars. My big brother Stephen is coming down because he is a huge Can-Am and Shadow fan. So he's very excited as well. And have you tuned into the last episode of the Drive Talk podcast? We filmed that last week with Becky Evans, otherwise known as Queen Bee or the Drift Queen. A really, really fascinating chat with Becky. She's so lovely, but such a petrol head and such a good driver. And we have a chat about drifting, just to try and understand more about that sport. I mean, I'm sure many of you will have seen the drift cars go up the hill at Goodwood or seen stuff on telly. But to find out more about the cars, the technique of drifting, her journey into the world of drifting, it was a fascinating insight. So if you haven't done that already, make sure you check out that episode. And while you're there, make sure you give us a subscribe on the YouTube channel. We've also started a Facebook page for Drive Talk Podcast. So if you're on Facebook, if you head over there and give that page a follow, that would be greatly appreciated as well. And then finally, the last thing to chat about is this Friday at 6, the Astra has gone back. So I swapped out the Astra on Monday of this week. Many of you hopefully have tuned into my final review of the Astra. Finally got the ability to film with it, having had that car off the road for, I think, 3.5, nearly 4 weeks with tyre issues. So the Astra went back and I picked up my new long-termer, and it sat outside on the driveway. I'm not going to say too much about what it is because I want you to tune in on Friday. It's a very special car. I've only driven it really back from the dealership because I've just not been feeling up to driving it at the moment, but it's very, very cool, very special, sounds amazing, and it's not electric. So we've gone from Defender, Astra, and now we've not gone electric, we've got something really, really special. I guess my hint might be it costs more than the Defender. That would just put it in the price bracket, I guess. So make sure you tune in on Friday for that one. And that's pretty much it, really. If any of you are coming to members meeting on Saturday, then message me, give me a shout out, or if you see me walking around the paddock, come and say hi. I would love to see as many of you as possible. As I said, I think it's going to be a really special one. The weather forecast, hopefully so far, looks quite good. But for that, I'm now going to basically just try and get well. I don't know if you've ever had a really persistent cold. I've had this cold now for, it's not that far off, for 4 weeks, and it's starting to get really, really dull. It's all in my sinuses. My sinuses are blocked. My head feels really fuzzy. My throat's quite sore. The tonsillitis has gone now, but I'm struggling to sleep at night, and it's really, really doing my head in. And I need to shake it off because I've got a really busy few weeks coming up, and I have no time to be poorly. I hate being ill. I really, really do. The last time with this one at the beginning of this cold was the first time I've had ill in bed for 5, nearly 10 years probably. Anyway, I won't do the woe is me thing. You don't need that in your lives. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol Ped for plenty more content to come. Please make sure you check out the content I made while I was in Japan. I'm really proud of that content. I think some really good stuff in there. And make sure you tune in on Friday at 6 to find out what my new Hendy Group long-term is. It's worth the wait. Very special fun. I can't wait for the adventures I'm going to have in that car. Anyway, I'll see you on that film, you guys. Take care.